你好. Today we're going to look at 第六课 Lesson 6, Dialogue 2, 对话2. We're going to look at some time expressions. Here I've listed some measurements of time: 年 year, 月 month, 星期 week, and 天 day. I've listed from largest unit to smallest unit because Chinese people always like to list things from biggest to smallest, whether it's date or in an address you always put the biggest thing, like your country, followed by the next biggest thing, your city, followed by your street, and then the number. So in Chinese, most things go from big to small. So here we have 年 月 星期 天, largest unit on the top to the smallest unit on the bottom. So how do we count 年月星期 and 天? Let's take a look. So you count years by simply adding a number. 1 year, 一年, 2 years, 两年, 3 years, 三年. Similarly with 天, 1 day, 一天, 2 days, 两天, 3 days, 三天. I've colored the 年 and 天 in red to show you that neither of these requires an additional measure word. Now for 月 month, you must have a measure word, 个. And 星期, you would have a 个 too. So 1 month would be 一个月, 2 months would be 两个月, 3 months would be 三个月. And that totally makes sense because if you drop the 个, 一月 means January, 二月 means February, right? So you need this 个 to indicate that you are counting the number of these 月, of the months. 星期, similarly to 月, you would put 一个星期, 1 week, 两个星期, 2 weeks, 三个星期, 3 weeks. So just remember that listing it from biggest to smallest, the biggest and the smallest units don't have an additional measure word, but the two in between need the measure word 个. Here I've just written out some examples. 2 years is 两年, 3 months is 三个月. Make sure you remember to use the 个. 5 weeks is 五个星期, and 10 days is 10天. Now let's take a look at some sentences. 一年有12个月，一年有12个月。1 year has 12 months. In other words, there are 12 months in a year. 一年有12个月。一个月有4个星期，一个月有4个星期。There are 4 weeks in 1 month. Why don't you try this one? There are 7 days in a week. Pause this video and write down your answer. When you think you're ready, come back to see if your answer is correct. Pause now. And the answer is 一个星期有7天。一个星期有7天。1 week has 7 days. In other words, there are 7 days in a week. Did you get it right? Now let's go through the timeline for 天. Here in the middle of the timeline, I have 今天 today. And going towards the left, it's 以前. 以前 means before, so it's going towards the past. And going towards the right, it's 以后, later or in the future. I'm starting with 天 because you already know 今天 today, tomorrow, 明天, 昨天 yesterday, right? So let's go to 以后, go towards the future. 今天 today, 明天 tomorrow, and there's a word for day after tomorrow, it's 后天. So see, 后 means after. Thereafter, you don't have special names for them anymore. The day after tomorrow is 大后天, and 1 day after that is 大大后天. And 1 day after that is 大大大后天, but at that point, people lose track, so they don't use that too much. Let's go towards 以前, going towards before, going towards the past. So going into the past one day, you get 昨天, yesterday. And go back even more, you get 前天. Now 前 means before, so 前天 is before 昨天. That makes sense, right? The day before yesterday is before yesterday. Aha. So going towards the past, it's 今天, and then 昨天, yesterday, and 前天, the day before yesterday. And after that, you just add a 大前天, the day before yesterday. And if you want to keep going, you just keep adding 大 in the front. So 大前天 is 1, 2, 3 days before today. Okay, got it? So just remember, start with 今天, going forward towards 以后 is 明天, 后天, 大后天, and just keep adding 大s if you want to keep going. Going towards 以前 into the past, or going towards a time before today, you get to 昨天, yesterday, then 前天, the day before yesterday, and 大前天, which is the day before that. Next, we'll go to 年, because 年 is actually very similar to 天. So let's look at 年. We have 今年, this year. Next year is 明年, okay? And the year after next is 后年. And thereafter, you just add 大后年. And if you want to go further into the future, you just keep adding 大. Going into the past, going towards 以前. Last year is 去年. 去 means to go. So just think of last year as the year that has gone, that has just gone. Okay? 去年, the year that has just gone. That's last year. And before that is 前年. 前 means before, right? So 前年 is before 去年. And then thereafter, you just keep adding 大 to go further towards the past. Let's take a look at both of them together, okay? So here I have 年 on the top and 天 on the bottom. And notice the similarities. 今年, this year, 今天 today. 明年, next year, 明天 tomorrow. 后年, the year after next. 后天, the day after tomorrow. And thereafter, you add 大. And you can keep adding 大. Going towards the past, 今天 is today. Yesterday is 昨天. But last year is the year that has just gone. So 去年. So this is the one part that's different, okay? The day before yesterday is 前天, and the year before last year is 前年. 前 means before, so it makes sense. And thereafter, you just add 大 as you progress towards the past. Now we're going to take a look at 月 and 星期, and you're going to find that 月 and 星期 are similar to each other, but not to 年 and 天. Let's go take a look. Here is the timeline for 月, month. You always need to use 个. This is what I mean. This month is 这个月. 这个月, this month. So you need the measure word. Next month is 下个月. Next month, or 2 months from now, is 下个月. And if you want to keep going into the future, you just keep adding 下. Now going towards the past, last month is 上个月. 上个月, last month. And the month before that is 上个月. And if you want to keep going into the past, you just keep adding 上. Now let's look at 星期. This week is 这个星期. Next week is 下个星期. And the week after that is 下个星期. In other words, this week, next week, next week. Let's look at going towards the past. Last week is 上个星期. Last week. And the week before that is 上个星期. So in other words, you're looking at last week and last week. And you can just keep adding 上. Note that in 星期, the 个 may be dropped. That's why I have them in parentheses. You don't necessarily have to have them. So you can say 这星期、下星期、下下星期 or going back 这星期、上星期、上上星期。Let's compare 星期 and 月。星期 on top, 月 on the bottom. 这个星期 this week, 这个月 this month. 下个星期 next week, 下个月 next month. 下下个星期 next week, 下下个月 next month. The only difference is the g in 星期 is optional, whereas it is necessary in month. Going back towards the past, 上个星期 last week, 上个月 last month, 上上个星期 last week, 上上个月 last month. Let's practice with these fill-in-the-blank questions. 这个月是5月. This month is May. 上个月是 Last month is you fill in the blank. Fill in the blank 是3月 blank is March. You fill in the blank 是6月 blank is June. 下下个月是 blank. Next month is you fill in the blank. So pause now, fill it in, and then come back to see if your answer is right. Okay, so 这个月是5月 This month is May. So 上个月是 Last month is April, right? April is 4月 And what is March? That would be the month before April. So the answer would be 上上个月上上个月 And what month would be June? If this month is May, next month would be June, right? And that would be 下个月下个月是6月 And then what about the month after that? 下下个月 Well, that would be 7月 right? And so we have the answer. 这个月是5月 This month is May. 上个月是4月 Last month was April. 上上个月是3月 The month before last month was March. 下个月是6月 Next month is June. 下下个月是7月 The month after next month is July. Okay, now let's look at the next one. 今年是2022年 This year is the year 2022. And so you have to fill in the blank for 2021, 2021年 and for 2023年 and for 2020年 Pause now and give it a try. Here's the answer. 今年是2022年 This year is the year 2022. 去年是2021年 Last year was the year 2021. 明年是2023年 Next year is 2023. And 前年是2020年 The year before last was 2020. How did you do? That's it on the topic of time expressions. Hope it was helpful. 希望对你有帮助。再见。